Hey guys, Stock Saturday, and it's a rather good week. We had the sort of, well, bit of an up and down few days, Monday to Thursday, and then all of a sudden the Jackson Hole Symposium speech from Jerome Powell, basically saying that they're looking at a September rate cut where he hadn't been talking about it before, even though sort of markets were like 75% pricing it in. But just to hear it come from him himself, then yeah, everyone sort of went absolutely bananas. Stocks were up quite a bit, even though they had been sort of down a little bit into the week, and gold and crypto went a bit, well, gold and silver sort of did okay, and crypto did remarkably well on the Friday. So, yes, I'm up about 42,000, about 7%. So, very, very nice. Is, in fact, outperforming the S&P and the Nasdaq by a long way. I thought S&P had fared better, but they started the week relatively high. So, yeah, S&P is in fact up 0.33%, sort of hovering around all-time highs, but hasn't actually done all that well for the week. And oddly enough, yes, the Nasdaq went up yesterday, but it is down on the week, 0.82%. So it's not at new all-time highs. You have had some stocks like Palantir, sort of, so, some of the really hot frothy stocks coming off a little bit. So yeah, maybe that had a bit of an effect. I think Nvidia's still pretty much at the highs, but yeah, Nasdaq is a little bit of a way off. The sort of 23,850, yeah, now under 23,500. So interesting. Some of mine are sort of still a little bit up and down. Broadcom back below 300. So you can see some of the, as we say, some of the frothy sort of semiconductors and tech names just a little bit down, but nothing too much really. Vanguard Emerging Markets at nearly $53. That's pretty good. And yeah, some of my others that have taken a hit: Applied Materials and Hymax. And yeah, everything else sort of broadly kind of where it was. But let's have a look at some earnings. So Fresnillo had their first half of the year come out. They do 6 months rather than 3 months. This was admittedly a couple of weeks ago, but I was off covering Coeur Mining and Equinox, of course, being larger positions for me. Although this is growing into quite a substantial position, to be fair. Looking at their little table, handy table. They have silver production down a little bit, sort of partly due to grades and partly getting rid of the silver stream contract, which they note below. Gold production up 15.9%, although this is their at least giving in their guidance forecast temporary. They're sort of saying, I think, under 600,000 for the year, so second half won't be quite as good, and going forward may not be sort of quite as good as that. But yes, the revenue and profit side extremely strong, 30% up in total revenue, and cost of sales down from last year. So that combination obviously provides an enormous boost to profits. EBITDA up 102%, and yeah, net profit. The first half last year wasn't a particularly good half. Gold was sort of moving up, but not moving tremendously. So yeah, profits up nearly 300%. But 460 million, is sort of more of a reasonable number. They have very unfortunately had 2 deaths in 2 months, actually, one in June and one in July. So they are obviously a very large miner, and you're going to get this sometimes. But obviously sad to see. They do seem to get a little bit more than some of the larger miners and some of my other miners. So it's certainly a concern. Obviously sad to see. And then, yes, we did have the news that Penoles are buying back the Silverstream contract. So they're sort of saying over its entire life, it's been really good for them. But they are now they see it as a good strategic decision to sell the contract back to them for $40 million. It's sort of come to, you know, a reasonable point in its life cycle, if you like. It's done well over the years that they've had it, since 2007, but it's sort of at the tail end of its usefulness, and they have had it on the books at a hell of a lot more than 190 million. So selling it back to them means writing it down on their books, and yeah, that's meant the revaluation loss. So the 190 million loss that they note up here is a non-cash loss. It just means sort of writing down what they were saying it was worth. So yeah, doesn't actually cause a proper loss, and it's only a one-time thing. It won't be there in the H2 results or next year's results or anything. So yeah, I thought that was pretty good news. So they declared a 20.8 cents ordinary dividend. They did do a one-off dividend special of much larger than that. So yeah, we'll have to see if anything else comes. But the ordinary dividend is considerably up from last year's. And yeah, it's nice to have a large dividend with no withholding tax. So yeah, that's always nice. And production guidance, they're expecting a reasonable sum, even including no Silverstream contribution. So they have had to reduce that down slightly. It was 49 to 56 million ounces of silver. Including that, it's now 47.5 to 54.5. I think if we're sort of in the midpoint of that, I would still be happy. I've always sort of thought of them as a 50 million ounce silver producer. And yeah, they have increased the gold production. So they were saying 525 to 580, and if they did 313 in the first half, that sort of did seem a low target. They've now upped that to 550 to 590. So top end has only gone up 10,000 ounces, but yeah, sort of maybe on the higher end of that would be very, very nice. Lead and zinc sort of stay the same. They're obviously not an enormous contributor, but very nice to have. And they're also given 26 and 27 guidance, which is sort of possibly a little bit vague. The 26 and 27 guidance exactly the same for silver. 45 to 51, so it's down a little bit, but maybe if we're on the high side of that, it's near enough 50 million, and even if it's sort of 47, 48 million, I think it still makes them the largest in the world, and yeah, that is a hell of a lot of silver. If silver's sort of going to go where I'm hoping it is, that will be very, very nice. Obviously, they have sort of come into my area, I would say, of fair value, and sort of the future sort of large price gains would be only really due to multiple expansion, people willing to pay more for Fresnillo as it is, or silver price, gold and silver price increase, I suppose, but potentially more on the silver price. So it's no longer sort of undervalued, coming back to fair value, in my opinion. So why was the costs down? They do break it down per mine. The Fresnillo mine itself down from 1641 to 1536. That is in cash costs, and they've sort of said that's slightly higher silver and zinc ore grades. So the byproducts do absolutely help. The Saucito mine down 22% due to lower cost per ton. I suppose they've had oil prices go down as well, and progress in lead and zinc concentrates as well. So quite nice. Juanicipio. I'm sure I'm butchering some of these pronunciations, but yeah, down 7%. San Julian up 11%. That's sort of not all of the part of that mine that they used to have. And then you've got their two gold mines, one up 32% and one down 29%. Again, sort of largely due to the grades basically and sort of lower cost per ton. But yeah, so that feeds into all-in sustaining cost. So yeah, $22 all-in sustaining cost for silver. On their sort of large mine, $17, $11 on the very low cost one. This is, I think, the one that what's the name, Pan American Silver have now taken a stake in. I don't think it was the Fresnillo mine. I'm sure it was Juanicipio. And then the gold mines, yeah, 2,341. Up quite significantly, 40% up. But their other one, 1,371. So, yeah, on a consolidated basis, that isn't so bad. Could be better, but yeah, this high one, hopefully that comes back down again. Obviously, gold at 3,360 now, so it's still okay. They're making a decent amount, but it would be nice to sort of see them come into the more average of the industry of $1,500 gold. So we'll see. Yeah, they do give you this handy little breakdown with everything included. So yeah, the pre-silver stream revaluation effect gives you 850 million from continuing operations, and then income tax 170 million, 70 million for their mining rights, and yeah, 600 million net profit before the revaluation effect, and then yeah, 190 million off that, and it gives you a little bit of a tax saving, of course, having that loss, so sort of mitigates some of it, and yeah, gives you 467 million net profit after that one-time effect. So you could, if gold prices and silver prices stayed exactly the same, maybe you get 600 million next year, but obviously that's incredibly unlikely. All the costs would have to stay the same, and nothing change at all. So yeah, we all know that's not very likely. Looking at the balance sheet as well, looking very, very strong compared to 6 months ago. This isn't compared to a year ago. This is, as of the end of the 2024. So yeah, cash and cash equivalents up. What is that? 435 million, and short term. I guess this is sort of bonds, gilts, whatever they choose to hold, US Treasuries. So yeah, combined, that's 1.83 billion dollars. Yeah, thousands of US dollars. They always report in dollars, even though UK listed, and most of the operations in Mexico. But there you go, everything's converted, and yeah, long term. What have we got? Long term debt is interest-bearing loans 839 million, and current liabilities, notes payable. They have no short-term debt as well, and 1.72 billion dollars in total liabilities. So I call that the absolute gold standard. Cash, if you take cash and short-term bonds as cash, basically, that is more than total liabilities. So everything they owe to anyone, tax, loans, accounts payable, employee, profit sharing, cash covers absolutely all of that, which is incredibly strong. So well done them. So as I say, overall, extremely strong. I will be carrying on holding, but it's sort of largely for a potential multiple expansion, and I want to see sort of a little bit more from silver. And with silver being their majority of their profits going forward, I would say yeah, it's worth holding on for a little bit longer. but I may start sort of taking profit if we get some reasonable moves in silver in the short term. So we had Pan American Silver with their results. Not quite as impressive, I would say, as Fresnillo. Coming down to their little table. This is the 3 months, so Q2 compared to Q2 2024. Shares outstanding are slightly down. They've been doing a little bit of buybacks. And yeah, revenue, obviously everything's up with gold and silver being up, similar to Fresnillo, similar to all the other miners basically. Yeah, revenue 812 million, up from 686. Cost of sales again is slightly down. I presume some of that is the lower oil price, because that's quite a bit lower than I think set Q2 last year. So yeah, they made a net loss in Q2 last year, and this is now 189 million. So yeah, pretty strong. On an adjusted basis, 155 million. So there's a few small adjustments there, and yeah, quite a bit of capex, 60 million in sustaining capex, and only 13 million in growth capex. So that isn't a lot at all. Production up ever so slightly, nearly 5.1 million ounces of silver, still nowhere near the 30 million they were originally talking about for the year. You know, that would need to be 7.5 million per quarter. And gold, I think they were saying 1 million ounces of gold, so this would need to be 250,000. I think we've sort of come to terms with the fact we're not getting there. Gold production down quite a bit, really. 42,000 ounces compared to Q2 last year. So a little bit disappointing. And all-in sustaining cost, $19.69, up from $18.12. So yeah, silver prices increased a fair way, but all-in sustaining cost is increasing. And gold, $1,611, where it was $1,465. So moving up, margins not expanding as much as they would be if that was constant. And yeah, they give their 2025 guidance. Would be nice for some of these miners to give guidance beyond then, but they don't seem to want to, even when it is quite important, like Equinox. But yeah, silver production 20 to 21 million ounces. This will increase with their acquisition of Mag Silver, wasn't it? And yeah, 735 to 800,000 on gold, which is not the best, but there you go. Silver 1625 to 18, so 1725, call it, all-in sustaining cost. A little bit down from where they were this quarter, so they're still given this guidance, and sort of say $1,575 on gold, which is slightly down from where they are now. Yeah, sustaining capital 280 million, let's say, and 95 million in growth capital. So growth capital is quite low, I would say, for someone of their size. Did want to just check their balance sheet as well. So we've got cash and cash equivalents up to 1.08 billion, up from 862 million 6 months ago. So that's pretty good. Current assets sort of reasonably well up. Mineral properties, plant and equipment sort of down ever so slightly. And yeah, what have we got on debt? Lease obligations, 45 million, 6 million in debt, so basically no current debt. And yeah, long-term debt, 704 million. So yeah, quite a lot of total liabilities, 2.38 billion, so nothing like the Fresnillo balance sheet. But you do have cash and cash equivalents more than total debt, which is pretty good. Net cash, I would call that, but you know, hardly the absolute gold standard of Fresnillo. Most of my other miners are a little bit worse than this, to be fair. Kua Mining and Equinox. So Pan American sort of sitting mid-table on balance sheets, I would call it. Just looking at where we go for sort of Q3 earnings as well, we've sort of had this very narrow, I would say, consolidation. Sort of, a lot of people are calling it a bull flag, sort of a very elongated 45-degree flagpole, and then sort of this volatile up and down, sort of squeezing, becoming less volatile, and sort of people saying it can't get much less volatile. This is gold after all. People call it a safe haven, but it is prices sort of volatile at the moment. And yeah, I can't imagine that this would squeeze, sort of get to the end of this consolidation period and then squeeze much lower. I don't really see any reason that would, especially sort of interest rates coming down, real interest rates coming down, and potential sort of money printing still going on, deficits around the world. So yeah, people are expecting this to come out of this consolidation period to the upside, and that would be good. Although, so Q2, we've had the start of July 3,300, and it's basically been $100 up or down from there for the whole of the quarter, and we've still got 5 weeks of that quarter remaining. Silver side, it's sort of been a little bit different actually. Q2 sort of ended, end of May, it was $33, and sort of then spent 1 month of Q2 at the sort of $36 range, but so quite a lot of Q3 has been at sort of $38, $39. So for the silver side of the miners, they should have pretty decent Q3 results, and if we maybe get a little bit more of a move in September, could be very, very strong. So silver sort of playing catch up somewhat. It hasn't really had this consolidation. It's sort of averaging up. We obviously had a reasonable drop on the Liberation Day move, but is sort of broadly up, since the beginning of the year, which is good. So, economic news for the week. We had some inflation news from the UK, pretty much all bad, more than expected, even though we're cutting rates. 3.8% core CPI year on year, nowhere near the 2% that everyone seems to want, but yeah, they're seeing jobs market being weak, and they need to cut basically. So we're getting sort of stagflation, low GDP and persistently high inflation, which is not good at all. Then Thursday you had the EU inflation as well, confirmed, basically the same as the provisional numbers, 2.3% core CPI, so they're much closer to their target. And yeah, you could still call it a little bit of stagflation because growth is anemic basically. So a little bit of inflation with very, very low growth. Then Thursday, Jackson Hole Symposium started. You had, to be fair, UK net borrowing at 1 billion for the month. That's pretty good. Although, previous month was revised up from 20.7 billion to 22.5. So, yeah, that's not good at all. You had some PMI figures and things, sort of mixed bag for the UK. Jobs figures for the US starting to pick up again. Continuing jobless claims closing in, you would say, on 2 million, which isn't good at all. Could be why the Jackson Hole speech suddenly came out pretty dovish. And you also had some PMI numbers from the sort of general PMI and the S&P numbers. I still prefer the ISM numbers, but looking up, a significant surprise up on manufacturing. So that's always good to see. And then, Friday was the Jackson Hole speech. Not much else happened, but that alone caused the lovely gain. So portfolio-wise, obviously helped quite a few of my stocks out. Coeur Mining above $12 now. That's very good. Certainly on the option side, every dollar just creates a very exaggerated move for me now. It's well above my strike prices, and in the ISA, it's sort of something I will continue to take profits on strong silver moves because, as I say, don't really want Coeur Mining sort of over 10% of my total portfolio, including the crypto side. I believe maybe not quite that much, but it's getting there, and it's sort of 18% of my stock portfolio, so that is a hell of a lot. CleanSpark still struggling, I suppose. They've got no AI side, so it's sort of just crypto, and crypto or Bitcoin isn't at all-time highs. So yeah, they need a strong move upwards. Fresnio still hugging £17 around there. Riot Platform's doing reasonably well in the last week or two, certainly. Equinox above $8, so pretty good. And Iron $24.43, so that has provided a great deal of the gain this week. 9.4% up just yesterday. And Hive starting to have a little pick up, 8.15% up, but still needs to go a long way up for me to see too much of a gain. On the option side, at least, it's 25% up here. Looking at Interactive Brokers, starting to push up. This was sort of under £30,000 for quite a long while, and now pushed up 33.5. Both KGHM and Pan American liking the silver moves, and sort of copper helping out KGHM a little. On the option side, yes, Iron is above £100,000, above 100,000 in profit as well, which is somewhat remarkable. Iron and Coeur sort of duking it out for the percentage gain. Obviously, I put sort of many thousands more into Iron, so Coeur, it's quite easy to get that percentage gain. It was about £3,000 position, but both doing remarkably well. Iron sort of, we had TerraWolf expanding their AI deal with Google, and I can't remember the other, Fluid Stack, was it? So like 3 days after they signed a deal, they signed another deal expanding it. A little bit strange. But yeah, anybody with AI, sort of Riot and Cypher and people like that, went up a little bit on the news, and then on the Friday saw another gain. So Iron doing remarkably well. If they get their own AI deal, then obviously, sky's the limit really, and I would be taking an enormous amount of profit. But yeah, Equinox sort of barely moved, but is still doing quite nice, back well in the green. And Hive and Riot sort of reduced their red numbers a little bit on sort of rising price, but Hive certainly needs sort of a fairly quick move to sort of $3, $4 for me to be in the green on these. Himax moved up a little, £4,000. Cypher moved up quite a lot on that AI news, but I think it moved up to about $6. I'm still looking at $10 for the options. So yeah, still a way to go. And CleanSpark, of course, is basically a full loss because they are November options for $20, and CleanSpark's below 10. So for it to double in the next 3 months, I would say it is possible, but yeah, the options don't believe that. And of course, the cash is going to come out in the next month. So yeah, portfolio will lose about £65,000, but it's all good. It's paying off the mortgage. So yeah, leave your thoughts in the comments below if you guys are sort of seen a nice gain, certainly yesterday, and like and subscribe. See you soon.